What's up, world? Serge here, developer from Toronto, Canada, and this is day 4 of me going through the world's largest hackathon, presented to you by Bolt. Today, we dealt with RevenueCat, App Store Connect, and a bunch of headaches when it comes to Apple, primarily. I'm going to walk through that, but just to recap, I'm participating in this hackathon. It's going on from May 30th until June 30th. This is the dev post link. We have 88,000 participants. Maybe we'll break 100, probably actually. This is for vibe coders, entrepreneurs, creators, whoever. Here are the challenge prizes, kind of the big categories. I decided to go with the Make More Money challenge. I am probably also going to sneak a voice AI challenge in there. Stay tuned for some updates there. But yeah, today was making sure that at least I started this process, because I've never set this up before and I didn't really understand what was happening. And 3 hours of my day got wasted. Not wasted, learning how it all fits together. And I still don't necessarily know exactly how, but here's where I'm at. So if we look at the lay of the land and where it all started, it started in Bolt.new. So I created a new project. Now, whether you're doing Bolt.new or Cursor, you are building, well, sorry, not you. I am building a React Native application. React Native allows me to build mobile and web apps in React Native, which is not React, but similar. And then there is Expo, which is developer tooling for you to run React Native apps and be able to run them in your emulator on your device. It also has APIs for camera access, Bluetooth, motion, health, probably as well. So this is kind of a way for you to not have to mess around with Xcode and Flutter or Swift or whatever. And just, for me, it's tooling that I'm more accustomed to and more familiar with. Now I have my Supabase database and authentication. But unfortunately, or fortunately, or makes sense, RevenueCat will not work if you're just in the Expo Go environment. So Expo Go is a client that you install on your phone, and you can run your app from your local or from Bolt, and it will mirror it in Expo Go. There is EAS build, which is Expo Application Services. This actually packages up your .ipa for Apple and .apk Android files, which then can be uploaded to App Store for test flight. And yeah, if we look at, this is my dashboard. So I have this project, which is Weight Coach app, and I have a couple builds that I was able to run. And now RevenueCat is where you would manage your products, your paywalls, and all the webhooks and everything with your customers, subscriptions. RevenueCat will save you weeks of work by taking care of all the things that you would need to do manually to set up in-app purchases, especially with Apple, with how meticulous they are with everything that needs to be set up properly, securely, and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's worth building out your own server to manage subscriptions, chargebacks, updates, all this kind of stuff. RevenueCat takes care of all of that for you. So it syncs and validates your App Store Connect configuration. App Store Connect is your developer account to set up your products, your app, your business, to make sure that you are getting everything works, and you will be able to utilize the in-app subscriptions. Again, this is for convenience sake for users. They much rather manage their subscriptions all in one place through Apple. RevenueCat makes it really easy for you to do that. They also have a web interface that we'll probably touch on later, especially now that Apple is less strict with in-app purchases having to go through Apple so that they can get their 30% on cut. So that's really exciting. This is at a high level what's happening. And if we were to go through RevenueCat documentation, so this is for displaying paywall, but there is specific docs for Expo, and they even have this banner that is shouting out Bolt Hackathon participants, which is cool. Yeah, so this is where they mention kind of all the stuff that I already covered. You have to export an EAS build for you to build the app directly as a native iOS application or Android. You go through the process here and yeah, install the dependencies, RevenueCat configuration. So this is where it starts to get, you stop vibe coding and you start stress setting things up. Let's look at what I needed to do in my terminal. So you can see I have an app running right now, and I'll be showing you how that works later. But if we were to go back after a bunch of those steps and a couple of errors, I needed to install iOS 18.5. It ended up compiling correctly, but that's not even what I needed to do. What I needed to do was run EAS build profile development platform iOS. This built the app for me, and then I got a QR code, scanned it on my phone, installed the IPA native app. But to get there, there's a couple things. So when you're setting up a RevenueCat project, also as a side note, says I have 4 new customers here, active customers. I don't know where that's coming from because I haven't done any subscriptions yet. This is sandbox data. Yeah, no customers. But anyway, so I have my project, Weight Coach app. You can see I have it set up as an app store, and I started setting up web, but not yet. There will be like a step-by-step onboarding experience for you to set all of these things up, but at the end, you should have your in-app store key configuration, your app server to server notification settings, App Store Connect API, and I think that's it. The more you set up, the higher chances of things working will be. This is what I learned, especially when it comes to App Store Connect. So App Store Connect is where you set up your app, your bank, your payment details. You have to get a bunch of stuff done. Here are the things that are useful. You will set up, if you want to test payments in test mode, you can set up test accounts. So I've gone ahead and did that. I think there is, yep. So I created an App Store Connect API. And again, this goes through in the RevenueCat onboarding. Pretty simple, so you'll be able to do that. What I did make sure that I needed to do was go to your business settings, and there is, once you add products, you will get a paid apps agreement. Nobody tells you that it's there, but you have to sign it. I set up all the tax forms with dummy data for now just to get it done. I couldn't even find my bank account, which is frustrating in its own right. But make sure you do all of this. Again, some docs said some of it, some docs said all of it. things kept not working while I was doing this, and then things started working. So I can't exactly pinpoint what made what work, but you will have an app, and once your App Store Connect is set up, you will actually be able to go to your products and create products through RevenueCat that then you can sell on each of the different stores. This is ready to submit because I was able to figure out what was happening. There was an error that said missing metadata, and I had no idea what that was. But you set up your product here, you associate an entitlement with it. There is a video with RevenueCat doing a very good job of explaining the difference between entitlement, products, and offerings. I'm going to spare you the details, but you should have an entitlement, you should have some products, you should have an offering, and you should have a paywall. And this is a default paywall. There's a Figma-esque editor for it. I'm really excited about it. Right now, it's previewing some static data here. These will be dynamically pulled in based on your offerings. And yeah, you can customize all this. I will be doing that later. I just wanted to make sure everything works. Once everything is set up, you should be able to, with the missing metadata. If you go to your subscriptions here, so there's a two-way sync between App Store Connect and RevenueCat. Once you set things up in RevenueCat, it will push those products to App Store Connect. But there will be things that you can input in RevenueCat that will be needed in App Store Connect, primarily setting up localization, availability, subscription prices. So you set up all the pricing in here. Review information screenshot. Again, this is just a basic screenshot. Supposedly this was required. Some things say optional, some things don't. It's very confusing, but I filled out as much as I could, and it went from metadata required to ready to submit, which I think is the reason why the offerings are showing up on the paywall. Yeah, make sure you set up localization in here as well. And again, I'm stressed out because once I'm ready to submit, obviously I'll have to go through this with a fine tune comb. But for now, it works. So once all of this is ready, once all of this is set up, you should be able to run. Let's see what we ran here. npx expo run iOS. That should do its thing. And you should have, or maybe that's not what I ran at the end. Yeah, EAS build profile development platform iOS. Should get a QR code, and you will need to associate. It will go like it'll ask you about devices, so you will need to register your device to be able to run these development builds on your device. Let's see, what I did was also go to my settings, and under privacy and security, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there'll be developer mode. Make sure that is turned on. Once you have developer mode on, you can go to your let's see, there's going to be a developer section in your settings, and all the way at the bottom there will be Sandbox Apple account. set that to one of the sandbox accounts that you created in App Store Connect. And after all of that, I hopefully you spend a little bit less time than I did on this because it was frustrating. You will have an app that you're working on your phone, and it will work. I'm logged in. I have my inventory here. And as a test, all I did was at the bottom, there is AI Coach. And I just put that behind a paywall. And when you say Unlock Pro, it renders that paywall that we were designing in RevenueCat. And you can change your subscription. And yeah, it works. It's progress. It's a lot of progress at this point, because now that I know that's working, I don't need to mess around with this at the end of the project, and I can just focus on making it better, making sure that the copy is right, making sure that the functionality is there. How the setup works in code for RevenueCat SDK, you go to your layout, and I have this purchase from React Native Purchases. Again, one of the packages that you need to install for RevenueCat. And then I have this use effect that fires once when the component renders, and it sets the log level to verbose, which allows me to see a bunch of debug statement from RevenueCat. You can see error fetching offers. Again, this just magically disappeared after I made a bunch of changes. I'm not sure what it was, but it's probably a combination of everything. And it started getting my eligibility information. So you have this set up here, and then my user is signed in. And what happens when I log in or sign in, I get the data from Supabase sign in with password. And then if there's a user with an ID, I set this method login for purchases, which then associates this user to a purchase on RevenueCat. And so once I have an entitlement, if we go to a coach or chat, has pro is a state variable, and again I'm checking the entitlement, which gets the customer info, and because I'm logged in, it will fetch that information. And customer entitlement active pro if it's not there, so it sets it to make sure that it's there. And if it doesn't have pro, I show the upgrade text. Otherwise, I show the paywall, and that's the RevenueCat UI paywall, which you saw earlier. This was a bit of a longer one, hoping to keep them shorter. Again, let me know what you like, what you don't like. I really appreciate all the feedback. I really appreciate everyone watching these videos. Thanks so much, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.